Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you all for joining me. Uh, basically, uh, today we are going to discuss VMware vSphere, right? Uh, VMware vSphere 7 ICM install, configure, manage. This is a complete training actually, but the first two session is just a demo session, an open session for all of you, so that you can have an idea that what is this VMware vSphere technology, what is virtualization technology, what are the features and what are the importance of this technology. So all these things would be discussed in today's session and also in tomorrow's session. I think someone posted something. Yep, I started the lecture. Mr. Janzeb, I think you have to connect your audio. Connect your audio, please. I think he joined the session, but his audio is not connected yet. Okay. So, do you guys know VMware? Have you heard about VMware? Anyone?
Yeah, we have used it even for some applications and like third parties Windows installations.
Okay, got it. So basically, VMware is the name of the company, right? It's a company name, and vSphere is the product, right? So in this training, we are going to learn VMware vSphere product. What is vSphere? So vSphere is a product used for server virtualization, right? What is virtualization? What is server? Do you guys know server? I believe you are familiar. The reason I am trying to make it, I mean, if this is your first time taking session with me, so let me tell you about myself. I basically start from very zero, right? I consider that all of you have zero knowledge, so this is my habit. I mean, I start from very zero and then I move to the advanced level and I discuss all the advanced features. So sometime I will ask a very basic questions from you guys. So what is server? Anyone have any idea?
Well, server is even a product that provides service to us.
Okay, so Mr. Amir, what's your current, I think you discussed that you are working somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'm working Amazon.
Okay, so do you know, I mean, have you any like most of the companies, like they have different applications, right?
Definitely.
and and their business rely on those applications, right?
Exactly.
So they have to run those applications. So if you have application, right, and you want to host or run that application, you need operating system, right?
Definitely.
And then for operating system you need hardware, computer, right? So normally what we do, we purchase a hardware, right? So this hardware will be not at 4 GB hardware or 8 GB hardware, because we are hosting our organization application, so we need a powerful hardware so that my 100 employees or 150 employees or 250 employees can request to that hardware and can work on those applications, right, which are running on their hardware, server hardware. So for example, you have 64 GB of RAM in your hardware, you have for example 16 cores CPU, you have for example 2 TV disk, and for example you have 1 Gbps of NIC, and then we installed hard operating system on the hardware directly. This,
Sorry for the question, but what is NIC stand for?
which one?
The NIC, NIC.
It's a network interface controller, the Ethernet adapter, the network
Okay.
cable. I mean, you have to
Okay.
connect this hardware to a switch so that your employees or the users can communicate with this machine, right?
Okay. 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 Okay.
So on this hardware, on this operating system, then you will install application like this. So this is your story. You have a server hardware, we have multiple hardware. I mean, like personally when we have a laptop machine, but an organization, if you want to host your applications like uh, email services, DHCP services, database, websites, right? So we need a server hardware and server operating system. So if you are not familiar, you can Google them, you will get the idea. So can you tell me what is the limitation or disadvantage of this scenario?
It's limited.
Hmm?
It's limited, or it's on the physical location.
Okay.
That's why.
Anyone else? One more thing, guys. After 5 minutes, the session will be disconnected. So then join me again using the same host. Okay, limited and expensive. Anyone else? I will ask questions from you guys as well because the session is interactive. So feel free to unmute yourself and try to add your input as well. If it's okay if you are okay, single point of failure from Janzeb. If you cannot speak, you can post your answer in the chat box. I know some of you uh, are not comfortable speaking, so this one. So basically, the issue with this scenario is if something happens to the hardware, the operating system will stop working and the application will stop working. So if this is a critical application for you, what will happen? Your business will be stopped, right? So then obviously there will be uh, uh, I mean it's not there will be a downtime in your environment, right? So it will give you a very, I mean, your business will stop working. So you know the circumstances and the results. So the physical infrastructure, it has a limitations, right? Another limitation is normally when we install operating system on the hardware and when we run application, so an average utilization of these resources is 15% to 25%. This is just an example for you guys. Do you have a laptop, right? Is my voice clear to you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So do you have laptop? Obviously you do have a laptop. How much RAM do you have?
16
I have
GB.
12 GB.
Okay. So in this laptop I have how much RAM? I have 8 GB of RAM, right? And 2.9 GB is still available because I'm running multiple applications right now. So if you check your laptop right now, you may see 50% of utilization. Some of you will see 40% of utilization. So although if you have 16 GB of RAM in your laptop, but the average utilization will be not more than 50 GB, 50%, right? But still, your laptop has 16 GB of RAM. The reason is sometime you are running applications, heavy workload. So just like an organization, when we are planning to purchase a server hardware, we look into our peak hours, right? So for those peak hours, we purchase a hardware. So this is my hardware one. So let's suppose you have 13 applications. So how many hardwares you will purchase?
Definitely like more than, if 13 is maybe, definitely we have like, at least if it's like heavy cores. So depends on applications. If it's heavy, like each machine must be having
So
like, what can I say?
let's suppose, no problem, thank you. So let's suppose I have four applications, right? So definitely I will purchase four hardwares, right? And for each applications. Can someone tell me, is it possible that I can run multiple application on single hardware?
Um, Definitely, but it will be loaded.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it's possible.
Okay. Is it a good practice to run multiple application on single hardware?
Now we can burst, or
No,
it
sir.
can cause some damage to the application, or it might be some loaded hang or something.
Okay. Normally in our laptop we have Skype installed, Google Chrome installed, Zoom installed, right? Microsoft Team installed, Packet Tracer installed, different applications are installed in our personal laptop. That's fine. But if you have web services, if you have database, if you have file services, so for each service or for each application, you would need a separate machine. The reason is, if your DHCP, if your DNS service is running here, your database is also running here, your email service is also running here, and your web service is also running here. So you have four applications running on same machine. So there is no issue, but there is issue. How? For example, you have some updates for web services. You install those updates for web services. After installing the updates, this machine needs to be restarted. So those updates can be applied. So for web services, you will have to restart the machine. So if your machine is restarting, definitely the rest of the three application will be stop working as well. So if you have multiple applications running here, right? So if you are restarting the machine for web services, definitely all the three application will also be stop working. So there is a dependency. So this is not a good practice in production environment. So the best practice is to host each application on different machines. So let's keep this DNS service here, move the web services here, the email services here, and database service here. So we have to purchase four different hardwares, and one hardware is, for example, $2,000, right? So you are investing, I mean $8,000 you are spending to purchase those four hardwares. These are just the hardware cost. What if your database is more critical? So you cannot host that database on a single machine, single hardware. So you want a copy of your database as well. So then you will purchase another hardware and you will install the copy of your database on the fifth hardware. So $10,000, right? It's not only the server cost included. You will have to keep those hardwares power on all the time, 24 by 7, right? So in that case, if your servers are 24 by 7 running, it will create heat. So you have to make them cool. So again, you will purchase AC, air conditions, cooling system. For power backup, you will have to purchase UPS or generators. So there are a lot of cost, extra costs also included, right? So what is this virtualization technology? So let me show you. Let me mute you all. So basically what we do in virtualization, so virtualization technology is basically reduces IT cost. How it reduce IT cost? So instead of installing the operating system on the hardware directly, what we do actually, this is our hardware, right? On the hardware, give me 1 second. This is my hardware. So in virtualization technology, we virtualize our hardware by installing a software called hypervisor, and then on the hypervisor we create virtual machines, VM, and then we install operating system on the virtual machine instead of the physical machine, just like this, right? So
So can I ask a question?
yes, please. You are mute.
You mean that instead of buying so many machines, we can buy only one machine and do operate over it.
That's okay. You are saying that instead of the multiple purchasing multiple machines, you can purchase a single hardware, you can install hypervisor, and you can create virtual machines. You can install database here, you can install web service here, you can install DNS server here. That's it. You can do that.
So okay, the way I have used VMware for Windows installation, like my win I was there was some software related to Windows XP for me, and I was
Hmm.
having Windows 8 with me, so I use virtual machine and install Windows XP operating, and then I install that software and take my advantage over it. And but uh, I think I'm confused about there is I have just observed another video over it. It's called dock or docking, something like that. Is this system or docking system
Okay, I lost your voice, Mr. Amir. So
No, I muted it. So I'm asking about the container dock or dock, like I have just observed in a video or YouTube. So they were telling me the same situation as you have explained.
so virtualization and containers, virtual machines and container, these are two different things. So we do have a topic in module number 3. We will discuss that what is container, what is the difference between virtual machine and container, right? So container is another technology, containerization is another technology. In this training we are focusing on virtualization, but we do have a separate topic included in this training which is called containers, and we do have a separate training from VMware side, which is called vSphere with Tanzu, right? You have heard about Docker, right? So Tanzu is also a container platform from VMware side. So we do have a separate training for that. But in this training, we do have a topic on containers. So I will see if I can explain it today or tomorrow. But if not, during the training, you will get to know that what is container and what is the benefit or use cases of containers. So good question, but unfortunately I won't be able to explain it right now. Okay, anyone else, any question? Does it answer your question, Mr. Amir?
Yeah, sure. For now, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Please, sir, tell us about hypervisor a
Okay.
little bit. Just a
Okay. So basically, in virtualization technology, what we do, we virtualize our server hardware. We install a special type of software, or you can call it a operating system, on the hardware, and then once we install the hypervisor, it allow us to create VMs so that we can install operating system on the virtual machines. So the benefit of this environment is that one benefit is that we can keep the application separated on a single hardware. So if we compare this, like, let me copy this thing. Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me copy this and let me paste it here. So looking into this one, so here you can see each application has a separate hardware because directly operating system is installed here. So in this scenario, a hardware can have only one operating system, but virtualization allow us to install multiple operating system on a single hardware because of this hypervisor. Because each operating system is installed on a virtual machine, a software defined computer, a software based computer. Each virtual machine has VRAM, just like physical machine has physical RAM, vCPU, vDisk, vNIC, right? We can share the resources of this physical hardware through hypervisor. And what is the other benefit? The other benefit is if something happens to this hardware, right? So if something happens to this hardware, if this hardware goes down, right, I can run these virtual machines on this hypervisor, on this hardware. I can move these virtual machines because every virtual machine has a separate folder. We can move this folder. So a computer is encapsulated in a folder, so we can move it easily, right? So in
So I have a question over here. If we have it like the way I have used VMware before, while installing it in system, it asks me to allow some GBs and allow some MBs to the virtual machine. And if we having two system, or we have make them connected with each other, and they are talking to each other, while the application which is not having any kind of base in the next machine, which have been compromised, okay, so will that machine talk to the other machine? Like if I'm having a Amazon software running, or the other side I'm having a an Apple kind of software running over machine, so one of my machine collapsed, it's now going to another machine. Do the other machine talk to the first one, or they will reject it, or we have to pre-plan, make some settings over here?
Okay, so basically it totally depends on your configuration. We have different features available here, right? We have different settings available here, and we have different license model available here. So let's say you want to use DRS feature, right? It's a distributed resource scheduler feature. We have high availability feature, we have vMotion, we have FT feature, right? We have distributed virtual switch feature, right? So to be honest, I didn't understand your question, but I can guess that that's what you are meaning. So yes, it depends on your configurations. So how you set up your environment, how you want your virtual machines to communicate with each other, how you want to keep some of the virtual machine isolated from the other virtual machine. You can set policies, you can set network policies, you can create a copy of one VM on the other host as well, right? You can configure high availability. So that depends on your configuration actually. Okay, I have another question from Mr. Sabran. I will answer you after some time, Mr. Sabran. Okay, so any question regarding this? So let's focus on this slides and then we can move forward. So basically today we are here to understand VMware vSphere. So as I mentioned that vSphere, it is a product. So it's a combination of two different. So vSphere is a combination of two products, ES6i hypervisor and vCenter server. So vSphere is a suite, just like MS Office is a suite, right? So vSphere is a suite which consists of two products. One is called ES6i hypervisor and the other one is this one. So in this lecture we will learn in this training we will learn hypervisor, ES6i hypervisor, and we will learn vCenter server. So what is ES6i hypervisor? I discussed that basically I will.
We can we take a hypervisor as a tool, not as an operating system or like this?
So basically hypervisor has two types, type 1 and type 2. So type 1 is basically installed on hardware directly, and type 2 needs an operating system to be installed on the hardware first. So if you have your laptop and you have installed operating system on your laptop, right, and on this operating system you install hypervisor. So example of type 2 hypervisor, right? And let me show you some of the examples. Have you heard about VMware Workstation, VMware Fusion?
Yeah, I have just heard about them, but I've never used.
So these are type 2 hypervisor, right? Type 1 hypervisor, which is directly installed on hardware. So hypervisor can be operating system and it can be application. I hope it answered your question.
Yeah, sure.
VMware ESXi, Microsoft Hyper-V, Citrix Hypervisor. The old name is Zen Server, right? So this is a type 1 hypervisor examples, and these are the examples of type 2 hypervisor. So hardware, operating system, and then hypervisor. Here the hypervisor is directly installed on the hardware. So in this training we are going to learn how to install ESXi hypervisor on the hardware directly, how to access it, and then how to create VMs, how to install operating system on VMs, what is VMware tools, how to connect these virtual machines with each other, how to connect your physical machines to these virtual machines, how to create VLANs, right? So we will learn this. And after that, another portion of this training is vCenter server. So what is vCenter server? So for example, you have three ESXi hosts in your environment. This is my one host, another host, and third host. So let me access the lab first. Looks like I lost my lab, so let me start it again. What is this environment? I will tell you that you can also play with these labs. These are free labs available, right? I will show you. In the meantime, if you have any question, feel free to ask me question. Mr. Sabran, I will answer your question in a while. Or you will get your
Well,
answer. Hmm. Yep.
do we have any kind of virtual labs? You carry on. I will ask my question.
Yep, go ahead, Mr. Amir.
Do we have any kind of like I have made my practice very perfectly over packet tracer, so it make me even I when I'm on job, I do think about packet tracer. That if I go to my house and if I'm having some extra time, I will do practice these kind of steps. So do we have any kind of VMware situation we can where we
Yep.
can uh, virtually where we can practice our
Yep, definitely. I will guide you. Okay, so let's say you have multiple ESXi hosts and you have this management PC. This is your laptop, right? From your laptop, you will open a browser and you will access your host. So you have three hosts. So you will open three different tabs. One for this host, other for this host, and other for this host. And you will have to manage these hosts individually. So if you have multiple ESXi hosts, the best practice is to deploy vCenter server. vCenter server is a management piece. So I will connect this vCenter server here. Technically it would not be connected directly to the switch. It will be hosting as a VM on one of the ESXi host, right? So let me make it easy for you guys. Let me host it the vCenter server here, for example. So this is my vCenter server. So I will deploy vCenter server on one of the ESXi host. I will access my vCenter server. I will add these three hosts to the vCenter server, And once I add these three hosts to the vCenter server, so instead of managing the three hosts individually, like let me show you, I have one of the ESXi host here, right? I just open the browser and I write this one. So do not confuse that how I'm accessing this. I will show you that what is this interface. Do not make yourself confused. So this is one of my ESXi hosts. See here, I just access one of my hosts. So what is the benefit of vCenter server? So let me show you here. I'm going to access my vCenter server. What is vCenter server? How we can deploy it? We do have a separate complete module in this training, which is module number 4. We will learn how to deploy it. So here you can see this is the view of the vCenter server. I have two ESXi hosts connected here. So vCenter server help us to manage our multiple ESXi hosts from a single point. And with vCenter server we get features like vMotion feature, high availability feature, DRS features. So if you do not have vCenter server, you cannot use those features. So this is the answer of Mr. Sabran question. Your question was what is the difference between VMware ESXi and vCenter server. So ESXi is the hypervisor, this one, the hypervisor. In vCenter server manage it, it's a management piece to manage your multiple ESXi hosts. I hope it answered your question.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, the vSphere is any tools we can use, sir, for connect VDXI server
So okay, vSphere,
without browser we can access from any tools to ESX server.
I got you. So basically the training we started, it's a version 7 training. You can see here it's version 7, right? In previous training 5.5 we used to have a software called vSphere client 5.5. We used to have this software to manage your ESXi host and vCenter server. We would have to install this software back in the days. This software will be installed on your Windows machine, and then through this software we would access our ESXi host. But this is now the
Exactly,
history.
sir.
But this is now the history, right? We cannot use this software anymore. We just open a browser like this. We write the IP address or FQDN of the ESXi host or vCenter server, and we manage our environment through browser from your mobile phone, from your tablet, from your Mac operating system, from your Windows machines. Once we access it, these are our ESXi hosts. Then we can create VMs like this, and that's the story. So any question regarding VMware vSphere? What is vSphere? It's a suite, a combination of ESXi host, ESXi hypervisor, and vCenter server. So let's move forward to the next slide. So as a vSphere administrator, you require knowledge about vSphere components and resources and how they work together. So in this training you will, once you complete this training, so you can be in your organization, you can work as an vSphere administrator, as a virtualization administrator. If you are a system administrator, still this training will help you. Like sometime I'm not sure who has anyone here who is currently VMware vSphere environment. Anyone who has, do you have any, is there anyone who is currently having a vSphere environment? Okay,
Hello,
Amir.
Rasid.
Yep.
So we do have the environment, but like we are not allowed to test. Like we are not the administrator. So
Mm-hmm.
like we can just view the servers. Like as I said, we work on the Linux servers. So if we have any issues with the server box, so we just ask the VM team to
Mm-hmm.
reboot or restart. So we only have the read-only access. We can log into the vSphere
Mm-hmm.
and we can just check the status of our server and we
Mm.
can just check the NIC status and all. That's it.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So after this training, you can let them know that hey, I have also worked on this VMware technology and I can also play with the different options and something like that. So I mean, if not in the current company, to the next other company, if you are applying for a job, so you can also let them know that hey, I have also knowledge of virtualization technology. Because nowadays in organization they have a separate teams like storage team, network team, security team, virtualization team, cloud team. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it true?
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
sir.
As far as Amazon, it's free. Yeah, it's you are right.
Okay, good. So now let's come to the objectives, that what topics or things you will learn here. So install and configure ESXi host. This will be our first topic. How to install and how to configure ESXi host. Then we will start from vCenter server. Then we will discuss how we can manage vCenter server. We will discuss virtual switches. This is a most important topic. Then we will discuss storage technologies like fiber channel SAN, fiber channel over Ethernet, iSCSI, NAS, vSAN, virtual volumes, and all these stuff. Then we will talk about the VMFS data stores. We will talk about virtual machine templates. So let me just show you something. For example, I think I should. Okay. For example, I have this environment. I have this Windows 10 machine running here, and this machine is for my one of the team members, right? Again, guys, after 10 minutes we will be disconnected, so feel free to join me again. So let's suppose I have this Windows 10 machine, right? Uh, let's suppose you are working in an organization and they hire 10 peoples and they want you to create 10 Windows 10 machines for them. So what will you do? You will create Windows 10 machine, you will install operating system, then you will install applications. So how much time it would take to prepare those 10 machines? It could take 2 days, it could take 3 days, it could take a week, right? But if there is an urgency, right, they want you to prepare 10 machines right now or in 10 minutes or in hours. So we do have such options called cloning. You can click here, clone to VM. What will happen? A copy of this VM will be created here. An operating system will also be installed already. Application will already be installed, right? So we will discuss templates, we will discuss cloning, we will discuss snapshots, we will also discuss content libraries. Once we are done, then we will talk about how we can manage virtual machines, how we can migrate VMs. This is the most important thing. For example, this VM is running on this host. You can see here this Windows 10 VM is running here on this host. I want to move this Windows 10 machine to this host. Let me show you in the paint. For example, I have this Windows 10 VM. I want to move this VM from this hardware to this hardware, right? So this is called migration. So we have two types of migration available: cold migration, hot migration. In cold migration, VM will power off VM, powered off VM. In hot migration, the VM will be on. We can move a powered on VM from one hardware to another hardware using vMotion technology. Thank you, Izhar. This is also possible, right? Is it possible in physical scenario? Can you move this operating system or application from this hardware to this? No, you cannot move it. But in virtualization, you can. So we will discuss vMotion, storage vMotion. You can also change the storage. Like you can see here, this Windows 10 machines data is stored on this disk, on this data store, and you want to change the storage of this Windows 10 powered on VM. You can move it. It's possible, right? We will talk about high availability. We will talk about cluster. We will talk about high availability. Amir, are you talking about, I'm not getting you, hardware capacity. Can you explain your question?
Well, I'm talking about the processor and the RAM capacity. If I am making a clone of a operating system, do I clone the same processing unit like RAM and processor, or I have an option to increase or decrease it?
Okay, we can. We can modify the hardwares of the virtual machines anytime. You can right click on the VM, you can go to settings, right, and you can change the configurations. You can increase the RAM, you can increase the CPU, right? You can add another hard disk, you can add another network adapter to the VM. You can modify VMs.
So does the process will be interrupted if I'm having 2 or 3 virtual machines? The one is like if I'm having my CPUs in a full capacity with the 2 machines, and if I'm making the clone, the performance of those machines will be sacrificed.
So basically, it depends on your configuration. So let me tell you a story. We have another product called VROP, we realize operations. We realize operations manager. This is a product, right? So if you have this product in your environment and it is connected to your environment, what will happen? You can configure this thing. So let's suppose if one of your virtual machine is performance is low, right? So this VROP will automatically add or change the specs of that virtual machine. We can do that. We can just like in cloud, we automate things. Do you know automations?
Yeah, definitely. Our world is nowadays running over automation.
Exactly. So the same thing can be configured here as well. Right? So we can configure, even we can change the powered on VM settings configurations. The VM will be powered on, and you can change the configuration of that VM. But again, it depends. During the creation of the VM, you have to select some of the options. Some of the resources you can add during uh, if the virtual machine is powered on. Just like you can see here, this VM is on. Let me go to edit settings. You can see the hard disk is 25 GB. Let me make it 27 GB. So I just added 2 GB space to this VM. Let me log into this VM. Right, once I log into this VM, Mr. Umar, I'm going to answer your question. Just give me some time. So once you log in to this VM, the hard disk will still be 25 GB, but you can go to disk management and you can see the 2 GB space will be available there. So if you are a system guy, you will be familiar with disk management. You can go to disk management, right? You can see 2 GB space is here. You can create a partition or whatever you want to do. You can do that. Nothing happened. The VM is still running. The applications are still running, and you have another partitions, and you can store your data here. Are we good? Perfect. Okay, Amir. So it means that I
Well, I
answered.
will. Yeah, yeah. Your answer was like 100% okay. I was very curious about the nowadays there we play games live over Google Play.
Uh-huh.
So it is answer to my question now because I was very curious about how heavy kind of games we are playing live instead of our PlayStation, our high-end PC can't play it. So it's answer to my question.
Okay, that's good. Okay, Mr. Umar, how many type of VM? So again, I'm not getting your question. I mean, there is. So how many types of VM? That was your question. So I'm not getting your question, Mr. Umar. If you can explain your question a little bit, maybe I can answer you. I think you are comparing, like Azure, we have different types of virtual machine compute instances. So here we have only just one type of VM like this one. You can create your own virtual machines and you can configure it for your own purpose. Like if you are installing a Windows operating system on a VM, so during creation of virtual machine, you can select the operating system, the type, Linux, other. You can select the operating system, you can click next and OK. I hope it answered your question. So we do have another topic which is in module number 9, which is called high availability. What is high availability? So for example, if you have 3 ESXi hosts and if one of the hosts goes down, what will happen? These virtual machines will be restarted automatically on the remaining host. So this is the high availability feature. It protects your VMs. right? VM is basically virtual machines, and we do have a separate module, module number 4, which only talk about virtual machines, how you can create VM, how you can deploy VMs on different methods, right? So are we good, guys, with these options? High availability, do you understand now? If one of the hosts goes down, the affected virtual machines will be restarted on the remaining host. This is the beauty of high availability. Okay, how can I interface my virtual machine lying 100 kilometer like we access on YouTube and Netflix games? Okay, let me answer you after a while, Mr. Amir, and let me answer Mr. Izhar question. Does high availability protect downtime? Okay, basically in a high availability there will be a downtime, because if one host goes down, the virtual machine will be restarted. Restarted means that if something was running here, the virtual machine, the process will be restarted. But we do have another feature called FT, fault tolerance. This is also high availability feature, but it is another type of high availability feature. In FT, what will happen? Let's suppose if you have this VM running on this host, and when you enable FT for this VM, a copy of this VM will be running here. So if something happened to this host, this copy will be active, will be act like a primary VM. So in FT there is no downtime, but in HA there is a downtime. So do not ask me that then why they have HA, why not we can use FT for all the VMs. So we will discuss this in module number 9. There is a story behind this. Right? Perfect. Okay, Mr. Amir, how can I interface my VM? Okay, you want to log into your VM if the virtual machine is on the other place, that's fine, you can do that. There are different methods, right? Let's suppose you have your organization and you have your VM running on your organization and you are your home. You can connect your environment to your environment using the VPN, right? It's totally up to you how you are connected there. The VM is like a physical machine. So if you have understanding how to connect with your physical machine from remote area using VPN, using port forwarding, or using any third party software, that's doable, right? Yes, using VPN it is secure, and we do have another platform called VMware Horizon on Azure. You can also look for it once you get some time. So Horizon is a product. This is also a product of VMware. vSphere is another product, Horizon is another product. So you can host your VM on the Azure cloud and you can access it securely from anywhere. So if you have some employees working from home and they have their personal machines, right, you can give them access to access your VMs which is hosted on your cloud. They can access them securely. So VMware Horizon, it's another product, right? You have different
So
options.
if I have some many employees and the many employees have different kind of duty to obey,
Hmm.
and I want to give a specific virtual machine to a group of employees. For example, three of them is working. They are working on one virtual machine, and the four of them are working on another virtual machine, how can I differentiate or designated virtual machine can be uh, go through? Like what kind of situation in this kind of scenario?
So basically, the VMware Horizon has options. Have you heard about remote desktop services from Microsoft?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what so remote desktop services allow different users to connect to the same hardware, to the same operating system, but they all have a separate sessions, right? So this kind of configuration can be done here as well.
So for operation, I don't need to just keep on my one virtual machine. I can make separate virtual machine and separate operating system on it.
Yes, you can. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to give them a separate desktop access, you can. If you want to give them a separate application access, you can give them a separate application access as well. No, RDP, not RDP. I'm talking about remote desktop services. RDP is a remote desktop connections. I mean, RDP. We through RDP we can remotely log in. RDS is another thing. So does it answer your question, Mr. Amir?
Well, I'm still a little bit confused. Like, for example, I will give you an example of Pakistan because I'm from
Mm-hmm.
Pakistan and I know it. There is another office, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if some employees, their server is in Islamabad, and I'm accessing it from Lahore or Peshawar,
Mm-hmm.
and one few of my employees are category first, that they collect the data and entry on it, and they make request the go through next, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So there is another kind of step which verify it, and they make a go through another kind, and in the end, the higher authority, the server is same, but they are making different kind of judgment over the applicant. And I'm talking about like the same server, but what for my security of my data, I don't keep on one operating system. I have a same server, same virtual machine over there, and I want to use a different operating machine for everybody else. In the end, the compile data will be put throughout, or what you can say, the data will be compiled. But in the meantime, I want my every employee must have different operating system. Like, okay, so I have a security software which is really updated and it runs on Windows 11. Okay, and I have dated software which is like fingerprint or something like just a data entry which work on XP. So hope you got me now.
Okay. So to summarize my answer, basically uh, there are different platform from VMware side. So for all of you, once you get some time after this session, just write VMware HOL in the browser, right? Create a free account, right? In your VMware HOL. You don't have to pay for it. You can create a free account. Once you create it, you can click try our labs, and on the left side you can see you have different products set from VMware side. Different product has different functions, and like Mr. Amir said, so we have Horizon product, we have VMware vSphere product. So again, the thing you ask, basically it depends on the configurations, or it depends on the options you have available, right? So you are learning here VMware vSphere product. We are building an infrastructure, right? Like, I'm not going to teach you how to configure Active Directory, how to configure policies inside the virtual machine, but I will teach you how to create a VM, how to protect that VM if one of the hardware goes down. So all these stuff. So you guys can play with that. Amir, you can find your answer on Horizon. You can play with Horizon Labs. For all of you who is new to this technology, virtualization technology, I would recommend vSphere. You can filter it. Once you filter it, this lab virtualization 101, you can open this lab. Once you open it, on the right side there is a manual. You can follow this manual and you can play with this lab, and you will get to know how this VMware vSphere works and how you can do that. So Amir, I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. The reason is there are different sides of your question. So I have to focus on the course owner, but you can ping me after the session and we can have a separate discussion over on this. Okay, no problem. So high availability, we discuss high availability. We have another feature called DRS. What is DRS feature? For example, you have environment of 3 hosts, and let's suppose you have you have 5 VMs, you have total 6 VMs running here, 3 VMs running here, and 2 VMs running here. So once you enable DRS feature, it will distribute the workload automatically. It will move some of the virtual machines like this to this. So it will try to balance the workload. So DRS feature, distributed resource scheduler, it basically distribute your virtual machines on different ESXi hosts to balance the workload. For example, you have a big environment of 10 ESXi hosts and you have 150 virtual machines, right? So as an vSphere administrator, it may be difficult for you to distribute those virtual machine among the 10 ESXi hosts. But if you enable DRS feature, the DRS feature will move those virtual machine on different virtual machine. So it will balance the virtual machine workload on different ESXi host. Do you understand DRS feature now? Distributed resource scheduler. If you want to understand how to enable DRS feature, you guys can come to this lab, virtualization 101 lab, and you can click on manual, and once you click table of contents, I believe it's somewhere in module number 1, and I believe this is the option here. You can click on this option and you can play with this. But if you are beginner, I would suggest to start with this one and then come to this lab and do all the steps one by one. And there is not only a steps, there is also a notes for you guys. So you can make a notes, you can copy this slide, this picture, right? You can paste it and you can make your notes and you can learn this technology for free. And the last topic we will discuss how to upgrade your ESXi host. For example, you have ESXi 6.7 and you want to upgrade them to 7.0. 7.0 is the latest version. So how you will do that? How you will install patches, updates, all these things. And let me show you the course outline. These are the course outline. And let me show you the official course outline. You can go to VMware certification, right? Once you open this, right, you can come down and see we have different options. So we are in data center virtualization track now. There is a network virtualization trainings and certification also. In the training we have started, this is basically a professional level training. A beginner level training is this one, but we are doing this training now. So you can click here. Once you click here, right, you can see if you do not have this is your first time, then you have to attend this training. So once you click this, it will redirect you to the course outline. You can scroll down and you can see module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But my course outline is 11 module. The reason is I will also teach you vSphere distributed switch as well. Right? It's a extra module. It is not included in the official course outline, but in my training you will also get this training as well. So these are the course outline. So we have already started module 1. Module 1 is all about introduction, that which technologies, features and topics will be discussed in this training. So we have learned that we will start from introduction to vSphere in software defined data center. In this module we have module number 2 will be started tomorrow, inshallah. So tomorrow we will discuss how to install ESXi. We have a lab there, how you can access that ESXi host, right? And we will discuss the different options there. Then module number 3 is all about VMs, how to create VMs on different methods, how to install operating system on VM, what is VMware tools, what is containers, and what is the difference between containers and VMs. We will discuss that. Module number 4 is all about vCenter server, how to deploy vCenter server, the architecture of vCenter server, how to manage multiple ESXi hosts from a single vCenter server. And module number 5 is one of my favorite modules. It is all about configuring and managing virtual networks. So let me give you an overview. Let's say you have
Sir, I have small doubt.
uh-huh,
Like where you said upgrading the version of ESXi host from 6 to 7, right?
uh-huh.
So does that require the VM stay reboot once it's upgraded, or it's like optional?
So basically upgrade paths. It's a some people, some organization, they cannot accept a downtime, right? So during upgrade
Yeah.
time you have options. So like what we can do, let's suppose you have 3 ESXi hosts here. So what you can do, you can move these VMs, 2 VMs here and 2 VMs here. You can upgrade this host and then move the virtual machines again. Then you can do the same thing and other thing with this one. So it depends. Like when we are doing upgrades, like sometime we have clients and they ask that they want us to upgrade their environment. Then we ask them that tell us what are the critical VMs, what VMs you do not want, which VMs you do not want to be powered off during the upgrade process. So they point out. So then we plan something for those virtual machines. So we upgrade their environment without downtime. So it depends. So does it answer your question, Gauss?
Yes, sir, I got it. Thank you.
Mr. Azik, I'm coming to the certification option. Give me some time. So uh, let's talk about do you guys know how to connect physical machine? It's a very stupid question, I know, but still I would ask you.
Over Ethernet, definitely.
Yeah. So you need a switch, right? You need a physical switch. Let's suppose this is your laptop. You will connect the laptop to the switch like this. For example, you have another PC. You will connect that PC. So the physical switch, you will assign IP address. So let's suppose you have these virtual machines running on the ESXi host. So just keep in mind that when you install ESXi hypervisor on the hardware, what happen actually, a virtual switch is created here. V switch 0, virtual switch. The physical adapter is connected to the switch, and each virtual machine has its own NIC, and they are connected to the virtual switch. So if they want to communicate with each other, they use the virtual switch like this, right?
So, like the way you were telling me that it was like the DHCP.
So it depends. You can assign manual IP address to each VM, and if you have DHCP server here, right? So the DHCP will assign IP to this VM, to this VM, to this VM. So if they have to communicate with each other, they will use the virtual switch. If they want to communicate with physical machine, or let's say you have a gateway and you have internet here, right, and they want to access internet, they will use this physical adapter, which is called uplink.
So later you told us that it used the vSphere. Okay, the question I was looking for. I think this is the answer, because if I am giving different access to my different employees through vSwitch, it could be
Exactly.
possible then.
Yeah, virtual switch, and we have two types of switches: standard switch, distributed switch, right? So in module number 5 we will discuss regarding distributed standard switch. In module number 10 we will discuss distributed switch. So module number 5 is all about switches, network virtual switches. What is the, let me just show you here. Like I can see here, let me, okay, I think I should, let me cancel it. Let me select one of the host and let me click configured. Let me click virtual switches and let me scroll up, and I can see distributed switch and standard switch. So in module number 5 we will discuss this. In module number 10 we will discuss this, that how we can create this. And once you expand the standard switch, we have a port groups. What is port groups? What is virtual machine port group? What is VM kernel port group? What is uplink, right? So all these things would be discussed in module number 5. How to create another port group, how to attach another adapter. Let's say you have a virtual switch and it has only one adapter. So what happen if this adapter goes down? So our VMs will not be able to communicate outside. So we can click manage physical switch adapters, and we can attach another adapter and see I have now another adapter as well. So this topic, all these topics will be discussed in module number 5. And if I click here and if I click view settings, I can see some of the policies, security policies, traffic shaping, how I can manage the bandwidth of the VMs, how I can configure the load balancing of the physical NIC attached to the virtual switch, how I can change the MTU size, right? So all these things would be discussed in module number 5. Once we understand the standard switch, then we can play with distributed switch, right? I can click view settings, and in distributed switch we have different options here, and I can also click here and I can click my distributed switch here, and I can go to configure tab and I can click topology, and I can understand the distributed switch. I can configure link aggregation control protocol, private VLAN, net flow, port mirroring, health check. I can click on the properties, I can click edit, and I have other options available, right? So okay, no problem. Let me summarize it. Basically, the reason I was just showing you that we have different types of switches here. You are welcome, Mr. Umar. So it means that some of your doubts are clear.
Yes, I have some doubts here.
Hmm.
In this vSphere client web portal, you are installing ESXi, 23 EXXi we can install. But here I'm asking, in this vCenter management portal, you are installing some EXI 3 EXIs, right? I'm asking how to manage 3 hardware. Each other hardware we can install one hardware machine. We can install, so for example, 10 EXI. Under the 10 ESI, we can install so many operating systems, right? How to manage each other 3 hardware to manage the in one vCenter. For example, what is the point?
Okay.
In this dashboard, installing multiple ESI, right? This is mean only the one hardware, right?
Okay. So okay, let me show you. Basically, let's say you have 3 different hardwares here. Each hardware has hypervisor installed, right? So if you want to manage them from vCenter server, so vCenter server is an appliance. What is appliance? We will discuss. It's a ready-made virtual machines. So you will deploy that appliance. It's a VM, and that VM has a Photon operating system installed, right? And that Photon operating system has vCenter installed. So basically, you know that each ESXi host has a virtual switch. So this is a virtual switch, right? This is the uplink is connected here. All the VMs are connected here. Even the vCenter is connected here, right? So this vCenter server can talk to this host. It can also talk to this host. So from here, you are here. This is your laptop. You will connect your vCenter server through IP address. We will discuss in module number 4. And then you will add each hardware. So let me show you just here quick. I have this hardware. I have this ESXi host, which is this one. I'm managing it without vCenter server, right? I want to manage this host from vCenter server. So make sure that vCenter server has connectivity with this host. So what I will do basically, I will go to my vCenter server. I will access it through IP address. I will click on the data center and I will click add host, and I will paste the IP address or the host name, and I will put the credential of that host. This is our topic in module number 4, but just trying to answer your question. And see, now I have a third ESXi host also available, which is this one. Does it answer your question?
This is each host or third host you added right now?
It is the third host.
Yeah, fine. Got it, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Any question? So in module number 6 we will discuss storage, right? Shared storage. What is shared storage? Basically, I have these 3 ESXi hosts. Each host has its own disk, hard disk. So basically, do you have any idea regarding storage technologies? SAN, storage array, shared storage.
Just a little bit, like when we are building up the servers, as you mentioned earlier, like saying like we have different teams for storage and all. So we request the storage to the storage in the engineering team,
Hmm.
and they allocate from the particular arrays, like depending on the type, like Vmax, VNX, like from those.
Yep, you got it. So basically, shared storage. Normally, let's say you have this VM running on this host and the data is stored on the local disk. So if for some reason this hardware stopped working and we want to run this VM on the other host, so this host doesn't have access to the local storage of this ESXi host. So obviously we will not be able to run this VM on the other host, right? So the best practice is that you should have a shared storage array, right? Storage array. That storage array will be connected to storage switch. What is storage switch we will discuss in module number 6. And each hardware will be connected to the storage switch as well, like this. This is called SAN. So VM will be running here, but the data of the virtual machine will be stored here, and each host will have access to the same storage array. So if something happens to this hardware, these hosts will be able to host these virtual machine, will be able to run these virtual machine, because they have access to the virtual machine data. Data will be here. It's a shared storage. So in module number 6 we will discuss the different storage technologies, and we do have some labs there that how we can configure shared storage arrays, right? Any question? You got it?
Yes.
And module number 7 is virtual machine management. Here we will discuss how to migrate VM. We will discuss clone. We will discuss template. We will discuss snapshots, right? So VM backups, all these things would be discussed in module number 7. Module number 8 is about resource management, and we will learn how to monitor our environment. For example, you have this host and you can click on monitor tab. You can click overview performance. Under performance you can click overview and you can monitor your environment. You can check the CPU workload. You can check the memory workload. So module number 8 is all about resource management. You can monitor your VM specifically. For example, you have a Windows 10 VM. You want to check the performance of this VM, real-time performance. You can check memory, you can check disk, you can check the last day performance, last week, last month, custom interval, right? When you click advanced option, even you can download the graph in a PDF form, PNG form. You can export it into Excel sheet. Like let's suppose in PNG form it's a picture format. Once you click this, it will download the picture. You can open the picture. You can see here. See, you can present this graph to your management. You can talk to them. Right? That's the story. So this module is all about the performance and all these things, resource management, monitoring. Module number 9 is all about vSphere cluster. We will discuss the different features, DRS feature here in this module, FT feature. So we will discuss all these things here. vSphere clusters. This is another extra module, as I mentioned that this is not included in the course outline, but still I will teach you how you can create vSphere distributed switches, and we will talk about vSphere life cycle management, upgrade, how to upgrade your environment, how to do patches and all these stuff. So let me take a pause. Okay, let's finish this and then we can come. Let's talk about certifications. So basically our training is a professional level training. So after completing this training you can take this exam. But VMware exam policy is different from Cisco and Microsoft and other technologies. Like in CCNA, have you heard about CCNA? So CCNA is basically a Cisco certified network associate certification. You can schedule your exam and you can do the exam, right? You can directly appear to the exam and you will become a certified. So the VMware policy is totally different. So if you want to if you want to take the VCP exam, right, So you need to have a VMware class ID. So how you will get the VMware class ID? After attending the training, right? So once you get the class ID, you can practice on the labs and you can appear, take the VCP exam and become certified, right? So you can go to VMware certification site. Once you done with this training, this is the exam. It costs $250. Once you click this, right, you can give the exam. This is the story. You have to appear for the exam. 300 is the passing marks, 70 questions and all these things, right? Yes, I already showed you, Amir. VMware HOL, these are the labs. You can go to this site, you can click try our labs, you can open the lab. Once you open the lab, you can open these manuals and you can play with the lab. Any question regarding the certifications? Okay, this is the link. So this is all about the today's session. If you have any question, I am here. Let me stop recording and